Hello, this is the tradesight Forex Market Preview and International Economic Data Roadmap for the week beginning Sunday, April 12th, 2015, and ending Friday, April 17th. Hope you have had a good trading week. Here's a look at the dollar index daily chart with our seeker tool, and you'll notice that we got a 13 sell signal on Friday. So that puts a cap perhaps on the dollar index for a while after a nice run, although we did have one of those back in December and we ignored it pretty much. So remember, the pink risk line is the key. You can see the pink line just forming right under that number 12, 13 there. If we break that quickly, it should lead to another run, just like it did back in January. But otherwise, 80% odds say the sell signal takes us back towards that red line instead. So let's keep that in mind. Let's take a look at some of the daily charts of our major pairs here. The euro dollar, not surprisingly, getting a buy signal recently, but I think the dollar's sell signal will have a little more influence on turning the euro back up. Here's the pound, actually made new lows on Friday against the dollar, but again, the dollar sell signal might cap that. Here's a look at the Aussie. It's found support on the red static trend line, and here's the New Zealand dollar, which has been a little bit stronger of late. Pound yen made a move downward, looking like it's going to break down under the last couple of months' lows now. All right, so let's take a look at what we saw intra-week here in terms of trading activity. Here's a look at the euro dollar in 30-minute bars, and you'll see the start of last week. Tiny gap up on Sunday, filled that overnight. Sunday to Monday was fairly flat. We did get a move eventually. Monday going into Tuesday had a little bit redder range. Wednesday was kind of slow. Thursday and Friday were nice. We did have some nice winners this week, both on the euro and on the pound. Here's a look at the pound during the week, a little different. The range from high to low on the pound this week was almost 400 pips, which is great. We did have some nice winners here as well. By the way, the euro dollar, let's talk about the range from high to low there this week, was also, it was about 500 pips. So a big move overall in the pairs. That's what we like to see. We could average about 130, 140 pips of range on the euro per day and get somewhere about 400 for the week because there is some overlap. That's a good trading week usually for us, and we usually come out of those pretty profitably, and we did this last week. All right, let's take a look at the economic data calendar for the week ahead. Brought to you by Forex Factory. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal. Let's see what we have to worry about. All right, so Sunday starting out the week, 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Core machinery orders, monetary policy meeting minutes, M2 money stock, and PPI out of Japan. Going to Tuesday, trade balance out of China, Italian industrial production, the budget number out of the U.S. at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, so no data from the U.S. in the morning. Business confidence out of New Zealand in the evening Monday. Business confidence out of Australia. German WPI going into Tuesday. China new loans and M2 money supply. Out of the UK, we get all their inflation data. That's the CPI, PPI, and RPI, and the housing price index at 4:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Industrial production out of Europe. Then the U.S. has retail sales and PPI in the morning, Tuesday morning, along with small business index, business inventories. UK's got the FPI that night. Westpac consumer sentiment out of Australia. There's some alerts going off here as the market just opened. China's got their GDP, industrial production, fixed asset investment, press conference, and retail sales at 10 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday night. Going into Wednesday, Japan's revised industrial production, Europe's, Germany's final CPI, French CPI, trade balance out of Europe, German 10-year bond auction, minimum bid rates. They got a press conference and the rate announcement out of the Bank of the ECB, the European Bank. So they've got a rate announcement there. Manufacturing sales out of Canada in the morning here in the U.S. Capacity utilization and industrial production here in the U.S. CB leading index out of the U.K. We got the Bank of Canada. They're doing a rate announcement. Housing market index here in the U.S. along with crude oil inventories. That's the weekly number. Canada's got their press conference from their rate announcement. The Beige Book here in the U.S. in the afternoon along with TIC long-term purchases. New Zealand goes to business manufacturing index that evening, and then we've got MI inflation expectations out of Australia, the unemployment rate out of Australia, new motor vehicle sales out of Australia. China goes to foreign direct investment. Thursday morning in the wee hours, Swiss PPI, Italian trade balance, Spanish 10-year bond auction. In the U.S. On Thursday morning, building permits, housing starts, unemployment claims, that's the weekly number. Philly Fed, Natty Gas, members of the Fed speaking. Consumer confidence out of Japan going into Friday. Retail sales out of Switzerland. Current account out of the UK. We got the unemployment rate out of England as well. CPI out of Europe. Canada, CPI retail sales U.S. CPI, that's one of our big three, so we'll be half-size Thursday night going into Friday. Seems like the economic data that matters is more stacked in the back half of the week. Friday is also regular options expiration here in the U.S., and then we've got University of Michigan sentiment to wrap up the week, and then the IMF meetings begin. So a lot of data for the week. The big one's the CPI here in the U.S., but you've got a rate announcement out of both Canada and the European Bank, and we'll be focused on all of it, of course. We'll be in the lab trying to help you make money, making our calls as usual. Feel free to take a trial of our services, and if you do find these videos useful, please like them on YouTube. Have a great trading week.